Okay, so people have been asking me, how do we get laser focused? Like, what can we start to do in order to make sure we're getting the results that we want? Because at the end of the day, if we can stay focused, if we can just understand what it is we're looking to do and really just make sure we're doing that every single day, then guess what? Then we're going to be able to achieve our goals and reach whatever it is that we're looking to reach. So, why is it that we can't just stay focused in terms of whatever it is that we're doing? I'm currently working on putting it together my masterclass. I already did the recordings, which was one step, and now I'm just putting it all on online and everything like that. And it's so hard to stay focused on it. Earlier this week, I sat down and I'm like, okay, the next 2 days I'm only working on this piece. The next 2 days I'm only working on this piece. Next 2 days I'm only working on this piece. And I gave myself some flexibility, but understanding that if we could understand what we need to be doing and really just take the time to focus on what it is that we need to be doing, like we'll get things done. So when I look back today, it's gonna be like, oh my gosh, like this is awesome. I actually got this stuff done, which I've been trying to get done for weeks. So recognizing that all we gotta do is just stay focused. Which is how are we supposed to do that? And it's so difficult sometimes, especially nowadays with like so much going on. But there's also a lot of things going on beneath the scenes, and that's what I want to talk about today. I also want to talk about some strategy. There's what it is we could do with the goals that we're looking to achieve. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Bennett Schwartz. I am a high performance coach. I help people get richer both personally and financially. So if you're looking to take things to the next level, make sure to hit the subscribe button and to stick around, which is going to be great content. And make sure to check out the YouTube channel if you are not here already. Okay, so when it comes to being focused, the first area we need to recognize is that we need to actually set our goals. I know it sounds crazy, but guess what? Most people don't know what it is that they're actually doing because they don't know what they're doing, and because they actually don't recognize, where I need to be going. That's why they get distracted. It makes so much sense. Think about it. Like if you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, then what are you supposed how are you supposed to do those things? So simple, but yet so many people don't have goals. And one of the things that I start with people when I work with them is like, let's just set our goals. Let's just figure out what we need to be doing and recognize that if we could start setting our goals and we can look to do those specific things, then guess what? Like we'll be able to be on our direction to get to the places that we want to get to. We're not going to get distracted because when we get distracted, there's just like an unknown there because we just don't know what we should be doing. So therefore, of course, we're going to get distracted. It's a lot easier to go check our emails or to go on like social media than to actually figure out what it is that we're supposed to be doing, taking those steps. So if we could just like take a second to figure out what our goals are, or maybe a day or 2 days or a week or 2 weeks, whatever it is, in terms of where it is that you want to be going. And when I said goals, we have to recognize we have to be extremely clear. Okay, one-on-one and goal setting. We have to be extremely clear on where we want to go. And if you don't know how clear you want to be, just start going that way. Because most people usually have a direction that they want to go. Like I want to go into business. I just don't know which business. Okay, great. But let's just start on the business, the entrepreneur journey, and then we'll take it from there, right? But recognizing that the more clear we can get, then the better and quicker we're going to get there. And sometimes we need to go on our own journey to actually get to the destination to figure out what that thing is. And a lot of times we're going to finally get there, or we're going to get to the place where we now know where we want to go. And we're going to look back and recognize like, wow, all these things that I went through, all these experiences that I've had in my life, all actually match up very nicely to where it is that I want to be going. So recognizing that if we want to get extremely clear on where we want to be going, we have to just take a moment, recognize, okay, where is it that I want to get clear? I always give the example, if you want to meet me in LA, that's great. I don't live in LA, I live in Philly. But let's say I want to meet you in LA and you tell me to meet you there. That's nice. But if you don't give me an address, like how am I supposed to find you? Like LA is pretty big. So recognizing that we need to really set ourselves up in a place and in a way that we can actually be successful. And the only way by doing that is by actually setting goals. So recognize that we need to set goals, and goal setting is so extremely important. And then once we have our goals, we got to reverse engineer it. And if you think about it, anything can be done if we reverse engineer it. You can build a rocket, even if you're not a rocket scientist. But if you knew what you needed to do, if you only needed to know the next step, the next button to press, somebody was like right next to you, you'd probably be able to figure it out, right? So recognize that all we have to do is then get our goal and then reverse engineer and just start taking those actions and really break it down into small actions. I speak about this in my book a lot in terms of like how you can actually technically break it down into the smallest of actions. And once you do that, then you're going to see like things are just going to keep going and moving forward. And it's going to be so incredible in terms of the success and the path that you're going to be going on. So recognize number one is we need to set clear goals. If we start setting clear goals, then we can actually understand what we need to be doing. And then we could just look to say, you know what, that's not what I want to be doing. Okay. But okay, that's nice, Bennett. But like, I'm still distracted. I'm still distracted by everything. I have so many people calling me. I have emails. I have all these different things that are happening. And guess what? Everybody does. Okay. We all have these things. And nowadays people have, ADD, ADHD, everyone's got it. Okay, and of course, some people have it more than other people, and I'm not downplaying it, and it's like something real that we need to recognize, we need to focus on, but realize that we have to try to eliminate the distractions. I'm going to be doing a whole series on in terms of like social media and how we could actually protect ourselves in terms of being the most productive. But recognizing number one is that like if we're finding out that we're on Instagram or if we're on YouTube all day long, so like we got to stop that. We got to nip that in the bud and like recognize, what are the things I could do to prevent that from happening? And that might be, hey, maybe I should take it off my phone, right? Lots of social media platforms I don't have on my phone because I know if I do that, if I have that on my phone, then guess what? I'm going to be busy all the time with them. So recognizing the phone's in my pocket, which is usually with me all day long, I don't want to have certain things on there, right? I don't put games on my phone. If you're a big game person, like don't put games on your phone. You're always going to be distracted. And you're like, well, what do I do when I'm like bored? It's like, well, what did you do before you had those games, right? You had things to be doing. So recognizing that if you could just look to eliminate certain distractions, and we're not going to go radical over here and say like, no, get rid of everything. You don't have to do anything. And like, I'm sure having that sabbatical would be beneficial to everybody, but recognize, let's try to figure out how can we figure this out. And of course, the more we can distance that from ourselves and within our lives, the more productive we're going to be. So yes, on an ideal level, let's not have any of that stuff, right? Let's try to figure out and take advantage of, what are the systems we could put in place in order to make that happen? What automations can we put in place to make that happen? But recognizing that there's certain distractions in our lives that we have to recognize. Okay, putting on, what's cool about the apps piece is that like you can actually see how long you were on each app. So at the end of the day or at the end of the week, see how long was I on this app? And if you're like at the end of the week, like, oh my gosh, I literally wasted 15 hours or 20 hours on an app, like that's like a part-time job right there. Like that's crazy, right? So recognize like people complain about money, but like they're on Netflix for like 15 to 30 hours a week. Like, yeah. And that's probably like a good person, right? So like we have to recognize that, like what are the things we have to be doing, and we have to realize that I really have to be more conscious in terms of what it is I'm doing and trying to eliminate most distractions. So recognize, okay, where's one? Just pick one. One's one place that you can actually focus on right now in terms of getting away from that distraction in order to become more productive. Okay. Number three, it's interesting. I was talking to a coach from Brendon Burchard's community, and he was talking about this idea how a lot of times people are distracted because of certain fears or they're afraid of something. And because they're afraid to do something, they distract themselves. And it's like a rational distraction. And Jim Rohn talks about the major and the minor things that we need to get done in life. And most people are focusing on the minor things because like those are like easy to do and like good feelings to like check off our checklist. But recognize there's usually like 2 or 3 things every day that if we get done, like things are going to be moving a lot quicker. So realize that we need to be doing those things and recognize what those things are, but realize that a lot of times it's because we have this fear that is behind us. There's this something going on why we don't want to be taking action. Like think about procrastination 101. It's usually because like there's something more about the activity that you want to be doing that you're not doing. And because you're not doing it, that's why you're not taking the action. And we distract ourselves and we rationalize the distraction. And that's like the coolest part because like we're being productive, but just not where we want to be productive. And if we could recognize, certain places we can be and certain places we should be, then we can actually start being productive. So realizing that also is going to be huge. And it's important to then work on that, right? Just recognize like, where's this fear coming from? Why is it that I'm scared to do X, Y, and Z? And if we can start to figure those things out, then we can actually look to attack it and see how it is that we can take advantage of those certain things. But most people are not focusing on the fears that they're doing or that they have, and therefore they're being quote unquote productive, but it's not really in the specific area that they want to be productive in. So therefore, if we have our goals, then we can actually say, hey, these are the things that I actually need to get done. I'm a client right now who's like, I have a million things to do. And I'm like, that's true. And I agree with you and I'm with you. But what are the 2 or 3 things we need to get done today? And it was like, oh, like figure those things out because you'll do the other things. But what are the 2 or 3 things we need to necessarily might have to push ourselves in order to get done? Because if we can start doing that, then we're going to see things are really going to start to change. Okay. Number 4 is time blocking techniques. Recognize that, we can put systems in our day or schedules in our day where we're just blocking out time. So I used to be like a fanatic about this, where I used to be like blocking out the minutes. Okay, I need like 18 minutes here. So from like 3:02 to 3:20, I'm going to be doing this. Like do you and figure out what you need to work and what works for you. But recognize that if we can actually just start to time block our days through the activities that we need to be getting done, then we'll have it scheduled. If it's not on my schedule, I usually don't get it done. So recognize, let me just put on my schedule, figure out what I need to be doing. And then by doing that, we can actually start to be more conscious in terms of what it is that we're doing and when we're actually doing it. Because a lot of times, we need to do something, we need to do it by the end of the week. But guess what? It's not on our calendar, so it doesn't actually get done. So recognize, these are the things I need to be doing. And going back, to my masterclass, like this is what I was working on. I was like, let me focus on these this item on Tuesday at around like 10 to 12. Like that's when I'm focusing on it. And I knew that if I could do that, then guess what? Then I'll be able to make the steps and do the things that I want to be doing moving forward. Alex Ramosi has a really cool technique where he actually takes a timer. He puts it on for like 45 minutes and he's like, 45 minutes, everything's off. I'm only just focused on my one task. And it's actually pretty cool. So if you could stay focused on doing that and getting yourself to be focused on that, a lot of people have a hard time. They're like, okay, let me turn my timer. And then it's like, oh, I got a text. I'm gonna check the text, this and that. No, like you set the timer, you focus on what it is that you want to be doing. And therefore, then you can actually get those things that are going to be allowing you to be more productive. And the fifth and final idea is recognize that like sometimes you just need to take a break. Hey, sometimes people are so distracted because they're moving too fast and ready to recognize, what, let me take a break and be conscious about it. I know Brendan Bouchard takes, I think like after 45 or 50 minutes, like he takes a walk because he recognized, I'll be more productive overall if I know that I don't get into the rut that I get into. And he, based on like his recognizing his data about himself, he realized, what, usually after about 50 minutes, I start to get like a little itchy, whatever you want to call it, like a little, just shaken up. So I need to like get on a walk so I could get my energy up. So then when I come back for 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, I'm like back into it. So recognizing that we could have to do those and we have to recognize those things about ourselves. And if we can recognize those things, then it's like a game changer. Most people are just not recognizing about their patterns that they're doing. And if we can recognize what our patterns are and break those patterns and put the patterns in that we want to be doing and the habits that we want to be doing, game over. So recognize that those are the couple of keys that we need to be doing in order to make sure that we're being the most productive. So number one is really set clear goals, because most time people don't know where they're going. So of course they're going to be distracted because they just don't know what they need to be doing. Once you have your clear goals, let's try to eliminate all distractions. So things that we're maybe wanting to do, but maybe are not beneficial to us, recognize, let's put goals on those. And I would say in terms of the fourth thing, in terms of time blocking, like maybe we time block those things. So it's like, I want to watch Netflix. Okay, great. How long are you watching Netflix for? Right? Are we putting it onto our computers and we're just watching whenever? Or is it, no, from like 9 to 10, I'm watching Netflix or whatever it is. So recognize that we could be time blocking certain things that we want to be doing, but also recognize that it needs to be important and we need to eliminate the distractions that we're not actually looking forward to. Number 3 is recognize that the fears that we're actually having and why it is that we're scared to do certain things, the procrastination, that is usually the thing that's really holding us back. And it's not allowing us to take the action. We're getting distracted on purpose and we're productively being distracted because we're doing things, we're crossing things off our checklist, but we're not doing the major things that are actually moving us along. Number 4, we just said the time blocking. And number 5 is just take breaks whenever is necessary. And if you could do those things, then guess what? Then we can actually look to continue to be productive. We're all here trying to do as much as we can. Sometimes we need a break, but sometimes, most of the time, it doesn't mean we can't be productive. We can't take advantage of all the things that we're looking to take advantage of. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We'll see you all on the next one. Peace.